Dubai is the easiest place in the world probably to make money, or at least one of them, but it's also the easiest to spend it. If I had £1 million to spend, which for the record I don't, but if I had £1 million to spend on one night, I could probably do it in Dubai more than easy without trying.
That's
So it's an
true.
expensive place to live for sure.
While the world's still asleep, we're already grinding. Walking foreign streets, big city lights so blinding. Learning and hustling in this relentless game. The emerge pods next up, we're breaking the frame. Yeah. While the world's still asleep, we're breaking the frame. We already grinding. The emerge pods next up, we're breaking the frame. Big city lights, woo, so blinding. Check it out.
Hello, and welcome to the Emerge podcast, where we break down emerging markets and give you actionable insights on how to start and grow your business in them. Today, we're talking to Asher Kennedy, a fitness coach based out of Dubai. Now, in one of our last episodes, we talked about how Dubai really pushes you to be the best version of yourself. And Asher is not only doing that for himself, but for his clients as well. What really stood out to me was how he is able to find success in such a niche industry in a place like Dubai, where you don't really think of the fitness industry as something that's booming. Check it out. You've been in the UAE for a while now, and you've done a couple of things. So how is it keeping Dubai fit? How long have you been up to doing it, and how's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going very well. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know me or hasn't heard of me, I help both men and women get into the shape of their lives. And I do it here. I work with people globally. I've got clients in the US, the UK, and also this region. And it's been going amazing. I was very fortunate to, I'm somewhat of a LinkedIn addict. I love the platform, so I managed to build a good personal brand there, which has been quite amazing for me.
So how long have you been in the UAE for?
So I've been here for 2 years, almost today. So just over 2 years now. So not super new, but not super old either.
Nice. And you've moved from London, right?
Yeah. So originally from born and raised in London, Dubai was my first move, and funny enough, it wasn't somewhere that I had thought about moving before coming here. It was
Mm,
I was kind of looking at places that I could move to, and the world gets really small really quickly when you
that's
start
true.
taking off the things that you really need in a place. And at the time, and probably still, I need somewhere English speaking. So that ticks off quite a few different countries. And I need somewhere that's emerging. So now I was kind of getting to, and something that was expat friendly because at the time I didn't have my business. So I was getting, it kind of got down to Singapore or Dubai. I hadn't been to either. Singapore sounded a lot more appealing at the time, but at the time it was the time where moving to Singapore for obvious reasons were quite difficult 2 years ago. So when I came up, I applied for a couple of jobs. I got quite fortunate straight away and managed to move here, and I was doing recruitment at the time.
So did you move straight into a job, or did you come to Dubai and check the place out first?
I've got a good appetite for risk, and not that much, unfortunately.
That's a bit of a
I had a
risk, yeah.
job in that, yeah, I know they helped me over here.
Well, it does help with the move if you've got something very solid going into the market, because again, it's a very hyper competitive market, and a lot of people come here without any idea of what they want to do. So, how did you feel like that happened for you? You came in with a job. Were you okay with the whole move, or were there any surprises along the way when you initially moved?
So I didn't really have too many predictions of how things would go because I hadn't been to Dubai before. I'd done what, so I was in recruitment before and I'd done recruitment in London, so I was confident on my skill set. And moving country, I think in this day and age, honestly, isn't the scariest thing in the world. Maybe 40, 50 years ago, prior to the internet, where you couldn't just Google everything and YouTube everything, it was really brave to move to a country that you'd probably only seen on a map. But now is that there's a lot of information out there. So I just kind of knew a little bit about Dubai. I started YouTubing a few things. So for me, I don't think I had any preconceived expectations, as I know a lot of people do. And since then, obviously, as before I started my coaching business, I was working in recruitment. I helped a lot of people come over to the region as well. So a lot of people do have their questions and worries and concerns about this region, which is natural. I think it's scary for anyone coming over there or moving country in general. But for me, I can't say it was that difficult. I was quite adaptable.
That's good. That's good. So, about the business that you've now started and you're running now full time, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
So, again, when someone thinks of Dubai, generally with the idea that they have is around the tourism and people coming in for a great adventure or something. For some reason, I don't always think of Dubai as being a very fit country. So is there a lot of clientele for the services that you're offering right now?
Yes. So Dubai is a place where people come to better themselves as an umbrella term. Now, bettering yourself is of the multiple facets that you can better yourself in. A lot of people would focus on the finances, business, their jobs, and that is a fair way to better yourself. But also, most people will come and they want to get into better shape and again be the best version of themselves. Also, a lot of people come over here and they don't know anybody. They don't really have any friends. So something like a fitness club or something similar is a good way to get to know people. So there's a huge fitness scene here, and especially in the expat community for sure. There's a huge fitness community. So it's been amazing for business and networking from my point of view for sure. As a lot of people know that they want to get into shape, maybe don't know how or just need someone to hold them accountable because it's very difficult to stay in shape in Dubai because of the conveniences of your Kareems, your Tanavats. You can order everything within 20, 30 minutes, depending on where you live.
Yeah, that's
And
why I
then
was
just
like, Dubai is all about convenience and that leisurely lifestyle. I never really think about it as being into fitness that much.
yeah, it is for sure. Most people they want to get into shape and be healthier is a common goal, but there are a lot of distractions here, and it is very
Yeah.
convenient and it is very luxurious, which doesn't necessarily always match up to fitness, but the need is there, and the desire is there, but it's just getting it done and being held accountable, which is where I come in essentially.
Well, I really like what you said about people coming in to better themselves, especially financially and career wise, right? Because Dubai has always been, as I always say, it's a hyper competitive market. People come in and they just jump into work, and they don't really have the time or the mental energy to focus on something like their own fitness. But it's great to hear that people are now focusing more on that in the Emirates as well. Because these kind of things are mostly, I would imagine that something like this would be really great in a place like Bali or something where people are absolutely going to better themselves spiritually as well. But it's great to see that that scene is also popping off in Dubai.
Yes, for sure. I think a lot of the main cities they do coaching and personal training is very popular there because I think cities attract a particular type of driven person, and Dubai being probably one of the top in the world for a city that really attracts people that are driven or want to be better. So the scene is definitely here. It's a matter of getting it done and achieving the goal, which is where some of the problems come, just because again of the conveniences and the social difficulties that can come about, the temptations of the brunches, unlimited food, unlimited drink. A lot of people fall into that lifestyle rather than bettering themselves and getting healthy. So the buy is fantastic, but at the same time, it can drift you away from your goals the same way it can
Yeah.
push you towards them.
Absolutely. So again, from a perspective of someone who wants to invest anywhere and has the liberty now because of globalization and the availability of information, someone who can invest in any part of the world really and have all that information available to them, the choice of Dubai has always been a tricky one because again because of the hyper competition and the fact that it is expensive to run a business in the UAE. Uh, and but what's interesting to me right now is that even niche service businesses like yourselves, even they can find a home in Dubai, because when you think of general business in Dubai, it's mostly trade and import and exports, or maybe something around the tourism industry. But what I'm finding really interesting here is that niche business services like yours can find a home in the UAE as well because of the fact that it's such a multicultural place. So on that line, is your clientele mostly of a certain culture, or from a certain geographical expat who are more likely to buy onto your services, or is it Emiratis or Southeast Asian that are more into your services?
Oh, good question. So I actually was looking into this recently because I was curious myself on now I've got to a point where I've got a good amount of clients. I'm looking at who I attract and I'm doing a bit of a end of month review at the moment. And Yes and no. So I've got quite a diverse amount of clients. I've got clients from some South Asia, Southeast Asia. I've got clients from the UK. I've got Arabic clients. So I'd say there's not necessarily a pattern. Have I noticed subtle differences in how? Because I do online coaching, so online is still a moderately new concept. Online coaching, that is. So not everybody's so like aware of how it works or what it is and how helpful it can be. So because of that, maybe some, let's say, more traditional cultures for sure, I'm conscious that sometimes they may not receive it as well immediately. Um, but in general, I think anyone who's moved to Dubai is probably quite forward thinking and moderately open minded because you kind of have to be to some degree to new country. So I haven't faced any personal issues. However, I am conscious of the fact that, especially maybe more traditional countries, that it's not so common.
So what kind of competition do you face in this specific industry? Because now I'm thinking that, we have a lot of audiences from countries that are more into the spiritual and physical betterment of yourself, like, whether it be Thailand or whether it be Bali in Indonesia. So a lot of businesses there are always looking to expand to newer markets. What kind of competition do you face in this market?
So there's a lot of online coaches
Oh,
and
yeah.
and there's a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs here within the health and fitness space. A ton actually, but maybe more than anywhere else in the world besides potentially Miami. So there's a lot of competition, people doing similar things to what I did, but where I differentiate myself and again in a very competitive market, how I try to define my space is one, my personality and who I am and my drive and ambition, and it's because of what I do and my presence online. Most people are quite conscious about it, it's fairly obvious. And two, I really work with people that I understand. So I come from a recruitment background for a long time. I worked with executives, directors, really busy people in the corporate world. So a lot of and entrepreneurs, because I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I am one, so I understand what their lifestyle is, and I can build a realistic plan. Whereas some people would focus on I don't know, pregnant women, for example, or
Yeah.
yeah, maybe younger people, and that works perfectly well for them because they understand them. But for me, I try to work before I understand because there's no point in me giving an executive or a director a 6 day intense workout plan that they're just never going to have the time to complete, and they just won't get the results. So it's really understanding the type of person I work with that has put me in a position where I can still grow quite rapidly.
The last podcast I had in Dubai was with another entrepreneur who was running a consulting company. And, I asked him the same question. I said, how competitive is the market and what do you have to do to excel in this market? And he said that, people generally now do know that Dubai is a hyper competitive market. But what this market does to you, it makes you as a business owner be the best version of yourself in order to sell. So it's not easy to sell in Dubai by any means, right?
No, at all. So yeah, just to second that, and it sounds like a guy I'd like to have a conversation with.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'll connect you. Yeah.
amazing. That would be great. So Dubai is a hyper competitive market in all regards, personally and professionally. So what I have done is become a hyper competitive person, and that
Absolutely. Yeah.
helped me beat my competition because I'm extremely competitive. I will do everything it takes to improve my business to make sure that I'm getting the best results, to make sure that I'm making the biggest impact that I humanly possibly can. And it does help you become, if you're already quite a driven person, then this environment will take everything that you have and everything that you are and test it and push it forward if you are that person already. So it's a part for me, yes, it's a competitive market, but I love that. That's why I'm here. It's because I love the competition and I want to provide the best bonus. There's a portion of my day where yes, I'm going for new business. Yes, I'm making content. Yes, I'm doing everything that I need to do to work with my clients to have a successful business. But at the same time, I spend a good portion of my day more being more of a visionary, looking at how I can get to the next, how I can beat my competition, looking at the competition, understanding them, and then become the best. So I love it. It's great.
So again, Dubai is not for people who want an easy way out or who aren't really, ready to put in that work. So it's not for the faint of heart.
if you're an entrepreneur, yes. I mean, if you have a job,
Yeah.
you could probably
Oh,
get away with
that's a
bit less,
completely
but
different story, right? Yeah.
yeah. But as an entrepreneur, yes, if it won't look after you like some other countries, mate. If you fail, then you fail, and if you win, then you win.
Yeah.
And that's completely up to you. And I love the accountability that Dubai gives you. Really, it's very much like the gym. You can't lie about the gym. You can't lie about what because it shows on your body. And I love how transparent it is. You can't just be born into a big body. Yeah, genetics play a part. You can't be born into having the dream body. You have to work into. And Dubai is kind of the same in the fact that it holds you accountable and it's very transparent. Well, the work you've done within your business.
I really like that connection in the narrative there, that Dubai pushes you to be the best version of yourself, and you're pushing people or helping people of being better versions of themselves too. So in a way, your service offering is directly in line with what the general culture of Dubai is. I think that's a pretty good narrative. Yeah, yeah. Pretty good narrative. So yeah.
I love it for that. Yeah, for sure. It's great, and what I do, I love it so much because I'm essentially helping people with what's helped me. Getting into shape has transformed my life in ways beyond words, and the fact that I'm in a position now where I could help other people achieve the same thing. I mean, most people who are sitting and maybe listening, you understand how not looking after your health, sitting down all day, gaining weight can impact your life, impact your family's life, a lot of the people that are around you, impact everybody. So most people understand that. And now I'm in a position where I help people become the best version of themselves, and I see the potential in everybody. And whether when most people complain about they're not consistent enough, they are consistent because they can get to work, they can run their business. It's just about directing it into fitness and health, which is obviously, again, exceptionally important. It's not an option, it's a necessity. So I love it.
You're kind of motivating me to go to the gym now because I am so completely out of shape. Yeah, but I think we're gonna have to have a separate session about me later. But no, but now we've spoken about what it takes to be successful in the UAE, right? It takes a lot of grinding and a lot of work to get to a place where you can call your business sustainable. What about the reward? Is the reward actually worth all that trouble? Or would someone, might as well go to an easier market with better return?
It's a big question. Is the reward worth it? I say it largely depends. So I can say what my experience has been like. I've had the business here for just around, in fact, exactly 1 year. And I've seen the pros and cons of having it here. Networking is definitely worth it. A lot of the clients I have, especially from the beginning, or people that I had known or had met before, or friends or people that I know and met before. So that definitely gave me a head start. The community here is incredible. And again, for example, just take LinkedIn alone, which is basically an extension of normal day-to-day in real life reality. LinkedIn, if you message people in LinkedIn, they're a lot more likely to reply to you in Dubai than it would be in England. And I can say this from personal experience of years doing both. And again, most people are up to having a conversation, open to network, because that's what they came here for too. So there's definitely some huge advantages to being here. But on the other side of that, it is extortionate. It's an expensive place to live. It's not easy, and Dubai is the easiest place in the world probably to make money, or at least one of them, but it's also the easiest to spend it. If I had £1 million to spend, which for the record I don't, but if I had £1 million to spend on one night, I could probably do it in Dubai moderate easy without trying. So it's an expensive place to live for sure. So I say if you're really disciplined and you're very driven and you don't fall into distractions easy, then it's fantastic. But there's definitely pros and cons, and expensive. It being expensive is actually one of the cons for sure.
So what I think is that you can gain a lot of business by being in the UAE, but the only problem with it is that you'll be spending as much as you're bringing in because of the expensive lifestyle, right? Unless you're disciplined.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And even if you are disciplined, in order to net growth, it's not for free. You have to go out and go somewhere. Even coffees can get up to 40-50 dirhams depending on where you go. So
absolutely.
It's definitely not the cheapest place, and it depends on how important networking is to your business. It's not that important. It's definitely a cheap alternative. Me, for example, I am now got to a point where I don't really want to spend 12 months of the year in Dubai anymore because I don't see the benefit of being here all year round. So for me, I'm looking at cheap alternatives like your Bali's, like for Kuala Lumpur, where I can use that extra capital and cash that my business makes and reinvest it back into the business rather than into that extra bit of money that I would need to just pay for rent here.
So, but then the question comes, and why would you be in Dubai in the first place? Could you not target the market without being in Dubai? Maybe if you're, since again, your business is completely online, right? Except for the networking element, of course. What's stopping you from living in, say, Kuala Lumpur or Bali and, running the business and finding clients in the UAE?
That's a good question. So I don't have to be here, quite frankly, to get new business. Obviously it helps, and I do pick up the old time from being here and all of that, and networking, but not to the point where I have to because I can probably still doesn't pay for the cost of being here because it is all I fault. Um, I like it. It's maybe
That's
maybe
what
it's
I
a
wanted to
personal
hear.
reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's super fun. It's safe. I come from London, which maybe isn't the safe space in the world, especially at the moment. And it's not the nicest part of London to say the least. So it's I love the safety here. I love the people here. I love having conversations. I love the energy I feel. It's very positive energy in general. So I like it here. It's lacking a few things that I enjoy, like the walkability. Like, there's not so great.
Yeah.
Nature is not necessarily there. Those are two things I really value. But besides that, it's the greatest place for me.
Okay, so then I believe if any of our listeners are considering starting a business in the UAE, here's a summary of what I'm understanding so far, is that if you're in the UAE, if you make the UAE your base of operations, right, you have but potentially you can gain a lot more business than you could anywhere else in the world or in most other places in the world. And while that does come at a significant expense, it is overcome by the fact that you're living in a place that is so safe for not just you, but for your families and even for your investments. Is that somewhere along what you're saying?
Yes, I'd say if you kind of if you're at a point in your business and your income where cost or like living costs in general aren't going to be the biggest hindrance to you, then Dubai would be one of the better places to live on the planet. Again, it really depends on where you're at. I can give a very high level overview of where I think it's best to live, uh, depending on where you're at in your income and your where you're at in business. I would say, as a again high level, if you're not earning so much and you're not doing so well from a financial perspective, there's places like Germany, fantastic, very functional, moderately safe, and you may as well pay taxes because you'll be getting more benefits than you would be paying them if you were not to pay taxes. And even as a business, I believe Germany is not the worst when it comes to the business sector. Quite well. As your business develops and you're doing okay, then there's cheaper places like Portugal, Bali. Bali is also expensive. Portugal is a good option. Kuala Lumpur is a fantastic option, and there's plenty of good nomadic places to go to. Once your business is doing very well, then I can't see a better option than Dubai. I think Dubai is a fantastic place to live for all of just the personal reasons, the networking reasons, the tax reasons, and the way I like the heat. So that's non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's a breaking point for a lot of people because we're just the summer season's just around the corner. So what's it like? Are a lot of expats going back home when the summer season arrives?
Yeah, I mean, yes, a lot of people I know are going back home. I'll be going back home in a few days actually. So I'm one of them to go and visit my family. It's hot for sure. Personally, for me, it's bearable. I can do it. Well, given the option which I had now, I probably won't be spending much on something night. It's a bit. It's not
Makes
necessary.
sense.
It's not
Yeah, and,
necessary
and
for
you
me so
yeah, and you have the liberty of since your business is completely online, you can run it from pretty much anywhere in the world, right? Yeah. So why not take
exactly. Yeah.
advantage
So
of that? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But if I had to be here, it wouldn't be a qualifying factor for me not to stay here. Or move to the for sure because it's hot, but it's bearable for me. That is,
Absolutely.
I like the heat. Granted.
That makes sense. So let's talk about the logistics of it. So after when you started your business, did you immediately because you just got out of a job, right? And I'm assuming that when you were working in your job, you had a work visa from the company that you were working with. So right after you got out of your job, did you register a company and then get your own residence visa?
Yeah, so as soon as my visa ran out with my job that I was at before, then yes, I just invested in another visa. It's seamless, really easy, predominantly online. It didn't take long, and yeah, so it was very.
Did you get a mainland formation or a free zone?
I got actually a freelance visa.
A freelance visa. All right. So what are the
Yeah.
requirements for that?
To be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of the details, so I don't want to quote something that's going to be not so correct. If not, my PA kind of handled a lot of that information. But yeah, I just kind of signed a few stuff and kind of
Well,
it
the
happened.
important part there is that it was easy to get, right?
Yeah. For me, it was easy. I did all I had to do was pay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so well, that takes care of the the general idea of what it's like being in the UAE and running a business. But again, I in these episodes I always try to compare different markets and see whether if someone's really on the edge about deciding about the UAE, what factors they should take into consideration, and what other options there might be. So do you think that if you had not started this business in the UAE, let's take you a year back, right, when you were leaving your job and you were now considering running your business full time, what were the factors that made you choose the UAE as your base instead of, say, moving out of the UAE, running this business elsewhere, or even going back home to run the business there? What made you choose the UAE, and what made you think that I can make more money here than I could anywhere else?
Yeah, good question. So part of it was the location actually. I liked because of the areas where I like to spend my time, which is like Southeast Asia, so Kuala Lumpur. I was there last month, and it's a 7 hour flight. And then the UK, which is my original home, that's a 7 hour flight. That's a 7 to 8 hour flight. Like location wise, it made a lot of sense to me. So the location is perfectly suited for me. So that's a huge consideration because I don't like long flights. Quite frankly, so I mean, 7 to 8 hours is really the max I ever want to do. Um, so that was one factor. Second of all, again, personally, I really enjoyed life here. I've got a good few friends here. I've been here for 2 years, so I like it. And partially with the flexibility with the visas and taxes and the amount you have to be in the country was a big sell for me. And also the ease of it all. I am a man who does enjoy convenience. I don't, and the UK sometimes, I mean, setting up a business in the UK is actually pretty easy, but there's still, to me, it sounds like more of a headache because of a lot of the regulations and restrictions and things you have to check. It's just a lot more, there's a lot more red tape as you have a business as well, with a lot of your day-to-day responsibilities. So for me, it just made a lot more sense for convenience sake and ease sake and location, whether my friends, my social circle to have to buy it as a base. I did consider other options. I always am considering Bali as an option and setting up in UK. That was a thought. And some other countries that I enjoyed, some places in Europe too, but the buy just ticks the boxes for now, and I have some personal relationships here that so I need to be here sold here as well.
Okay, so now let's think about the future a bit, and if you were to expand your business from where it is now, what would be your next logical market?
So I am doing that. I'm in the process of doing it now. So I'm going to be spending the good part of my year in Bali. I haven't been there yet either, so if I don't like it, then that will change. But Bali just ticks again the boxes for me as of now. I like the time zone that Bali's in.
Yeah.
I prefer to kind of again, it's very particular stuff, but I just know myself quite well and how I like to work. So in order for me to be functional, I really enjoy having the morning where I kind of go to the gym and have my free time, and then when everyone else wakes up in the other parts of the world, which I tend to work in, then I can get my work done in the evening where I'm most optimal. So it's just like little stuff like that which I see really valuable. So Bali will be my next option. Kuala Lumpur is again somewhere that I like to spend a good amount of my time. So I already am in the process and will have technically expanded to other regions.
Wonderful. I think Bali will definitely be a good market for you because, again, it's the whole idea that it's also a very multicultural place now, and you've got expats who are now working in Bali. Just not, it's not just for the beaches. They're making good business there, and now these people, again, the more multicultural people you have in a market, the more demand for niche services like yourself would arise. So I do feel like Bali is going to be a good market for you.
Yeah. I think I know a few people who have been to Bali recently, and it seems like a place which is amazing for all of the reasons that Dubai is great, to be honest. At a slightly less cheap, a more affordable price point, let's call it. So it's a good option. I'm looking forward to checking it out. But I definitely think Dubai, for anyone who's listening and is thinking about Dubai as a location, I'd say I'd heavily consider it because it is as amazing as most people say. I think there's no perfect place in this world, but there's still, for example, a consideration I would have if I had children. That would be a consideration when moving to Dubai because schooling does cost, and having children in general does cost. So it's just something you'd have to take into consideration. Whereas now I'm in a position where I'm not, I don't have any children currently yet. So it does allow me a little bit more flexibility, maybe than so.
Makes sense. And I believe at that point we naturally move into the next part of what I was thinking as well. Uh, I'm sure with your whole move to the UAE, not just in terms of the job, but even as running a business, there are certain challenges of doing business or working in the UAE. Have you had any of these hurdles, any of these challenges that you've faced in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
other than the general expensive living, other than that?
I think the challenges about being here in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Just moving to a new country is always challenging, right? But
Oh
Dubai,
yes, yeah.
have you had like challenges working in the UAE in terms of whether it's the culture, whether it's certain legal stuff, the certain laws that have caused you trouble?
The laws no, especially if anyone's watching. But law.
I'll rephrase. So generally, laws are a lot stricter in the UAE, even if it's just as simple as traffic law, right? So it's just a lot more stricter in the UAE, and
Yeah,
that might cause you some trouble. Yeah.
yeah, to some degree, I do think I know Dubai does have a reputation for being really strict. I
Yeah.
personally, and I know people, I mean, I live a pretty reserved lifestyle anyway, so I don't really need a more broad law, let's call it. But I know people that are a little wilder than me and do enjoy going a bit more, but going a bit crazy, probably drive a bit crazy, live a bit crazy, drink a bit more. I don't even know if I don't know if they've even had any issues here. It seems from my experience, 2 years and I network pretty heavily. It's fine. I personally don't feel any form of restriction, only safety. And then when it comes to any other problems, I mean, when I first came, I knew absolutely nobody. I never took a foot into the country before, so I would say making friends was strained at the beginning, but also was really easy. I'd say it was pretty easy. Um, People are really open to you being an expert because they've all been through the same thing as well. So even just LinkedIn alone, like my first post with that got a lot of reach. People came to me and they invited me to coffee. I think it was 3 weeks in. It was my birthday, and that was around literally almost this date now. My birthday is in around 3 weeks, and within 3 weeks, I was invited out like 3 times. I got treated better here than I would have probably be back in London.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So I'll say people in general are pretty friendly. Maybe I got super lucky, but it's been amazing for me. So I wouldn't say honestly there was any huge challenges. There's a lot of upfront cost which I didn't know about coming, so I just had to adapt from a financial perspective for sure. Like uh, for me in England, it's not normal to pay up front for any form of accommodation or rent. That was a bit
Yeah.
surprising. I just didn't know. So definitely say maybe do some research around that. But besides that, honestly, I'd say there was no formal, uh, difficult challenge. It's all just a new experience, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, with the upfront cost of the apartments, that's definitely something that a lot of people face, because there's the commissions, and then there's if you're going for, so, what is it, four checks or six checks, right? And you have to give those checks in advance, and the first one is due on the day that you move, right?
Yeah. So to be honest, I was really fortunate. So whilst I was surprised about this, I got really lucky. I found the place which was like full 12 months. I was paying monthly. So for
Oh,
my
all right,
first apartment,
that's
I was
rare.
paying
Yeah,
monthly.
yeah.
So I've been good, and the landlord was amazing. So I was pretty fortunate. But when I was looking, I was surprised. So I'd just say it was something to keep in mind
Sure.
because you
And
won't
there are
you,
definitely, yeah. Sorry. Again, can you say that again?
I would say realistically, you probably won't find 12 month checks. So like monthly payments, it's just unrealistic.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. Mostly it goes for like 4 or 6 checks. Yeah. So let's talk a bit more about your actual business, what you're doing on a day to day, right? Um, so what are you? Because the last part of the podcast, I always try to have the guests talk about their business, maybe tell us what they do that's so different and how is it helping people. So what are you doing? What are you doing with your clients that you have right now?
Yeah, so essentially, I work with, again, busy professionals, and most people in the Dubai fortunately are quite busy, so it is a great market for me. Really busy professionals who have probably been to the gym at some point in their life. They've probably tried to work out and tried maybe keto diets, paleo diets, low carb diets, where they've just never really seen the results that they wanted to, and are in a position where they're conscious of the fact that their health and fitness is really important, and it is probably somewhere that they've neglected to some degree, and they want to focus on it because they know that realistically they would feel better, they would look better, they would their habits would be improved, and there would be and there would be, most importantly, a better example, and be able to do more for the people that they love around them. And I do find that actually to be one of the main factors. So I work with these people and I help them, and it's quite a holistic solution. So we help them with their nutrition and making sure that wherever they go, whether they're eating out, ordering from Korea, or eating at home, that they're eating food that's actually productive and conducive to their goal. We do help them out with their training. So again, whether they're at home, they're in the gym, or wherever they may be in the world, that they have a solution so that they can actually get an adequate amount of exercise in to actually make sure that they're hitting their goal. And then we hold them accountable through all of this and make sure that they achieve the goal, and then we work on some mindset things on the side as well, because I do find that no matter what any health and fitness expert says, it's not hugely complex to get to at least a basic goal for most everyday people, but people are complex, and that's where the complexities come in. And what I do, the accountability, the consistency, the mindset, the attitude toward food, their relationship towards food is where a lot of people really struggle. So it's a process, and coaching is very much a relationship. But I love it, and I love helping people through their journey, because I find it to be one of the most impactful ways anyone can help anybody, never mind my capabilities. I think it's somewhere that it's your body, it's the one body you get to live in for your whole entire life, and being able to live in a body that you're happy with, being in a body that you have it that gives you energy. Most people these days are waking up when they're super tired, which is waking up and just slept. You should be full of energy. Yes, this is a good time. But most people wake up tired, and being tired and getting to the end of your day, and all you can think about is sleeping, never mind working out or getting to the gym, or even spending time with your wife or your husband. That's tiring to you. That's where I help people with their energy levels, with their stress levels, and making them feel confident and happy in their physique. So that's a very long-winded way of saying.
No, but all of that is really hitting home, and I'm trying not to think about again, I mentioned this before, I'm trying not to think about my own personal fitness, but I do feel like when you're a corporate professional, you really do not have time to do anything other than work or fulfill your obligations and responsibilities at home, and it is pretty difficult to find the time to better yourself. So since your clientele is of course in the UAE and they're also super busy, how do you help them find the time?
So I made that subtle correction. It's subtle. It's not time, it's capacity. And
okay,
those are two slightly different things, because I don't ask anyone to do anything crazy. I'm not training Usain Bolt. I'm not training. I don't actually watch any sports. So I'm not training LeBron James or any sport. I'm training people who work busy jobs and just want to be healthier and fitter. So it doesn't take huge amounts of time. Even me, I'm a coach. I didn't train crazy hours or do anything too crazy. I'm just consistent with the foundations of fitness, and that's why I call it level one. A level one coaching, because it's not. I don't ask them to do anything crazy. As long as you can walk. And most people are walking anyway to some degree, but as long as you can walk and you have enough time to walk a bit more, as long as you eat, which you eat already, otherwise anyone listening probably wouldn't be listening anymore. So you eat already, and as long as you have 150 minutes, even less than that, slightly a week, which you can find the time for that, then you can get insane results. I can work with anyone who's willing to do at least that. So it's never really time, it's capacity. If you've got children, if you have a demanding job where you're working 50, 60 hours a day, and sometimes that leads into the evening where you're on your phone, you're on your laptop, where you're working from home, which actually makes it more difficult, not easier, then it's never the time. It's always just the capacity to get it done. But that's essentially why people come to me, is to delegate that area of their life.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. And finally, I think that again, a lot of people in the UAE are working professionals, and when I hear of services like these, I feel like they are more of a luxury. But even then, I look at myself and I feel like I do need something like this myself. So I guess the question I'm asking is if someone is to consider getting a service like this, is this generally an expensive service to get?
Good question. So I've structured my business in a way. I got into this business because I really want to make an impact. I want to help as many people as humanly possible in my life and in mine, just with coaching. Impact is super important to me. I've always been people driven. That's why sometimes I struggle in recruitment, because there is sometimes numbers. I just want to make an impact. So I've structured it in a way that is affordable for most. Now, like it's not free. I don't market myself as the cheapest service like that, and it's not the cheapest service like that. There are people that you can find that maybe some form of fitness program that is a lot cheaper. I think to some degree you do pay for what you get, and a lot of the time, if you do fish around for cheaper options, you'll probably be paying a few times, and you just have to ask yourself, how important is your time? I even will go to the point of finding out what your billable hours are. And there's times where you're going to the gym and you're trying to get fit and you're not getting the results you want. That's how much it's costing you. So I'm not the cheapest service out there, but we do have a range of packages that will work for most people. So I do my best to structure it in that fashion. So it's not the cheapest, but if it's important to you, then what better investment to make than into your own health and your own fitness? And
Yeah,
if I was
that
to
makes sense.
if I was to tell you, if I'm going to change your life, make you fitter, make you a better version of yourself, so that you can serve your family better, you can have better habits, and then I was to say it was a really cheap price, you probably wouldn't even believe me in the first place.
Absolutely.
Like, what's
Yeah.
this? And you wouldn't take it seriously. You probably just pay it and ignore me. So it's meant to hurt a little bit, to be honest. As
No,
ruthless
I
as
mean, I get it.
sounds.
It's about, if you're not spending the right amount of money, you're not committed enough to it, right? So if you want to make an actual change, you put your money where you're putting your efforts.
Exactly that. So yes, I do have a range of packages that can serve most people, but I don't market myself as the cheapest stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, it shouldn't be. I feel like what just listening to you talk about all of this and seeing how passionate you are about people being better, at generally having better, being in better shape and having more energy. But to someone like me who's a super couch potato and who doesn't really go about being very active, I feel like if I could be the way that you're saying, this would be absolutely priceless, because it would have such a huge impact on not just my life at home. It would allow me to actually work better as well. So who could put a price tag on that?
Exactly. I mean, most how I always say is, let's just say I was to help someone lose, let's just say 10, 15 kilograms, and I was to guarantee that. That will absolutely change your trajectory of life itself.
Absolutely,
The
absolutely. Yeah.
amount that will change your life is words. Again, I can't even use. I met up with a client a couple of days ago now, an Egyptian Singaporean guy. And when I first met, I actually met him in person, because I was around and I like to meet people in person when possible. And I was talking to him about coaching, and he was probably to this day one of the quickest decision makers, because he knew he needed to make a change. He struggled with bad digestion, he struggled with his weight, and he knew that he had treated himself poorly over the last 4 to 5 years. So he signed up straight away, and I saw him just a few days ago. So the first time was in January, now it was a few days ago. And even though I see his transformation pictures every week, I know what he looks like, but seeing him in person was something completely different. It was like I saw a new man. The energy
Wow.
levels that he had, the happiness that he had. His face had completely cut down. His belly was non-existent. He wasn't even fitting into his clothes anymore. So like for someone like that, he's changed his life. It is priceless. You can't really put a price on your health and your fitness. So like it's something that you won't regret, and it's money that you won't think about once you've achieved your goals.
No, I completely agree. And honestly, this has been a wonderful, talk with you. And, I'm sure that people who are listening, there are, of course, two elements to everything. There's the financial element, and then there's the element of your life. But what you're doing, I feel like, is giving people the ability to live better lives. And I think that is absolutely amazing. And Asher, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you if they want to talk about, getting your services?
Yes, yes. So I'm pretty active everywhere, to be honest. I spend a lot of time working. LinkedIn is probably the best and easiest way. Just type in Asher Kennedy, my name's in the corner. I'm pretty easy to find there. I'm on Instagram as well, Asher the coach. I'm pretty responsive on both. It's probably best to even mention the name of this podcast because I bet I'll just get to it a little bit faster. But in general, just type in Asher Kennedy on LinkedIn or Asher the coach on Instagram, and those are my two main platforms.
That's fantastic. And again, Asher, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And this has given me a lot to think about of my own personal fitness. But generally, I hope that, it's given people who are on the fence about being in Dubai a real picture of what it's like working in the UAE, especially in a niche market. And for me, I feel like, I'd never really thought about this industry as such being successful in the UAE. But now, who knows? There can be many other niche industries that are probably, ripe for the taking in the UAE, and people need to start considering those as well. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the insights. It's been a pleasure.
So thank you. It was an absolute honor, and I loved it. You're a fantastic host. You asked me really amazing questions. So thank you for.
Yeah, I hope they weren't too tough at times, right?
No, it was honestly amazing. So thank you for your time and hosting me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Hello.
While the world's still asleep, we're already grinding. Walking foreign streets, big city lights so blinding. Learning and hustling in this relentless game. The emerge pods next up, we're breaking the frame. Yeah, while the world's still asleep.